Hey, and welcome, Miss Kira Speaks. Since you have clicked on the video, do me a favor. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. Stick around to the end of the video because I'm working on getting that retention time up, because yikes. And turn on your notifications because between me and YouTube, baby, you just never know. We are here for episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 15, child. I know I'm late. Episode 11, makeups, slip-ups, and cover-ups. And this episode and the trip in general had the makings of all the things your girl loves. Like, I am a girl's, but baby, you know the housewives are gonna come with the drama. So the episode picks up right where we left off last episode, and it was Sonya that went outside to check on Drew. Kandi says, and scene, as Drew walks out, which is going to come up 11 times later on in the episode. Eventually, Kenya and Sheree come out to Drew talking about exactly how serious this lawsuit is. Drew is so upset. She's like, Sheree's trying to talk, and she's like, ugh. She's over Sheree. She's telling like, man, go ahead. You know how you are when you telling somebody like, man, go ahead. Like, she don't want to hear none of that. But in her confessional, Sheree kind of says that, you know, Drew likes to bring up things too. And production runs the footage. So basically what Sheree is saying is Drew can dish it, but she can't take it. Inside, when Kandi gets up, Marlo's like, oh, you going to check on Drew? And she's like, no, I'm going to use the bathroom. So they're laughing. And Kandi, her confessional, is kind of saying like she's seen Drew handle worse situations and not get as emotional. So for her, it kind of felt like Drew was, you know, in a movie giving her actress. Drew says she was just at the courthouse before she came there. Child, in her confessional, she's saying it's not about the money. It's about the lady, because the lady's reaching out to bloggers and her family. Sounds like anyone who will listen to try and defame Drew. Drew's words, not mine. Sheree apologizes. She says she didn't know any of this, yet that did not stop her from bringing it to Drew, but she apologizes just the same. In Sonya's confessional, she's saying she had no idea, basically, and Kenya's saying that she speculates that it has something to do with Ralph. I'm right with you, Kenya. Sheree, forever throwing the shade, is like she don't have $1,000 because that's how much the lady was suing her for. How many girls are on this trip? Kenya's asking. 8. What's 1,000 divided by 8? In her confessional, baby, Kenya's like, do broke bitches split lawsuits? In this case, she is just trying to help to make it go all the way for Drew. Drew insists that this lady's been paid already, that there are things that she doesn't know and she can't talk about it. She's kind of saying like, if we give her money and then she's gonna come back for more money, and you know how it goes, you know, yeah, I can't talk about it. Inside, before they come back in, Marlo's like, you know, I don't know when Drew is serious or she's being for real or when she's acting. Kind of the same thing Kandi said. Now Kandi's gonna get hit for it and not Marlo, but I digress. When they get back inside, Sonya is saying that's the most vulnerable that she's seen Drew, and Marlo, much like Kenya, is like, can I just pay the $1,000? Like, to them, if it's that simple, then let's just make it go away. Here come the producers. Is there anything you're not telling the girls in this moment? Basically, I'm going to sum up Drew's answer for you, and then we will break down what she actually said. When the cat's away, the mouse will play. Okay? The manager lady, which I thought it was his assistant, but fine, last year hit him up about the massage while Drew was away. And now the producer that oiled him down for Drew's video shoot is the same one that suggested that he audition in Vegas, and is the same lady that is now with him in Vegas auditioning. Got Drew shaking in her boots. So while she played it off earlier with the girls, apparently she does not trust Ralph. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about. And to me, I wouldn't be surprised if the chef, these are my words, this is just opinion, this is just allegations, these are not facts. I would not be surprised if the chef did not have something to do with Ralph. Call me crazy. You can get that in the comments and let me know if you agree. So as they're sitting and talking about the trip and how the trip is going, Sonya's saying that basically they need to respect each other while they're there and while each other is speaking. And Kenya's like, I think we got a jar that you could put that 2 cents in. And Sonya's like, I'll put it here. And then Kenya's like, I like Sonya. Sonya knows I'm playing. So then Sheree is just messy. I'm just going to say that. Sheree is just messy this entire trip. I don't know how this is supposed to be a trip about healing when all she does the whole trip is bring up mess. So she brings up a conversation that she and Kenya had earlier about Kandi not being as available. Now, to me personally, I don't know why Kenya would have that conversation with Sheree. To me, that sounds like a personal conversation that could be between her and Kandi, since her and Kandi are like actually real life friends. I don't feel like Kandi has the same relationship with the other girls except Monietta. So when they were bringing it up, I was kind of just like, I guess. Kandi is saying she's in the building stages, and the ladies are like, building stages? They're surprised. And then Candy's explaining like it's one thing to have it, but then to have it and then to lose it. And I don't think Kandi ever lost it totally, because she looked very financially responsible. But when you go from, one to another, and now she has more family and people depending on her, so I get it. But Sheree's asked, how does she balance things? When's her time? And Candy's like, I don't have any me time. They're all just basically saying that they want Kandi to take care of herself and put herself first. And I was like, oh Lord, please don't tell me I'm not gonna be successful unless I work as hard as Kandi. Because listen, I work hard, but I don't work close to as hard as Kandi. But for me, like, I need that me time, and when I don't get it, when I don't take it for myself, I've said it in my pajama Sundays, like, my body's gonna take it for me. I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna be laid up. So it's super duper important. And the level to which Kandi works, like, she does seem like she gets massages, but she looks like she just needs some quiet time sometimes. Like, just Kandi by herself, just in a room, relaxing. The next morning when they get up, it's rainy and apparently it's cold. We see the ladies checking in back home. We see the ladies getting ready. And finally, they're meeting all down in the lobby. Marlo says she sent Sonya to change, and then Sonya comes back downstairs with the outfit talking about, I'm changing the van. So the itinerary for the day is they're going to go to the market and they're going to pick out their food. The chef is going to prepare it, and then they're going to do a pottery class. Well, for the chef to prepare, then they're going to do the pottery class, and then I think go to dinner after. The order doesn't really matter. So Sheree just wants them to laugh like they used to. They're waiting for Kenya, and I want to say as per usual. So they head off to the bus or Sprinter or whatever it's called. And about 30 minutes later, Kenya shows up downstairs in the lobby. She looks out the door and she steps outside, and she's got like hotel slippers on. I'm assuming she was going to change to her regular shoes in the car, but she falls and hit that ground so hard, baby, I hurt. Oh, my back, she said. And I was like, damn, I'm in my 40s, and I think Kenya's in my 50s. And in my 40s, I can't fall like that on hard concrete. Ooh, Lord. I know she was in a world of pain. They help her get up because, she's saying she can't move. She's going to have to go to the hospital, and she asked Kandi to go with her. And I said, oh, poor Kandi. She has such a look on her face. Like, this trip is not moving for her. So the ladies, they did also get off the bus to check on her. So I guess they kind of headed into the lobby till, things got sorted out. Sheree is like, this is not how she wanted the trip to go. So Drew and Courtney are sitting at the bar, and they're having some conversation. Drew is talking about Kenya falling, and Courtney's like, well, the universe has a way of forcing things when it's necessary. It's a thing called karma. They see her on the stretcher, and Courtney calls it dramatic. Drew doesn't like the rhetoric of the conversation, but she does not say anything, or at least we don't see her say anything to Courtney. We see her saying it in her confessional. I thought that was crazy. I was like, what's wrong with Courtney? I'll be trying to say like, oh, the things that she does aren't that bad. And then we get to here, and I'm asking myself, you can get down in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong. To me, I didn't really see anything that Kenya did to Courtney to make Courtney dislike her that much. For her to say something like that, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of crazy. Like I said, child, it is Kandi's last day. Mind you, it's day 2, and she's headed to the hospital. First day, she was sick on the way there, and part of me was like, why did Kandi even go on this trip? But I think listening to the ladies talk, it was only a weekend trip to begin with, so I was like, child, I guess. Finally, the ladies are back in the Sprinter. They're headed to the market to pick out their food. They're talking about what they're going to get. They kind of decide on seafood. And for some reason, Courtney brings up like the small towns having a very rich history. And she brings up, child, I don't want to get it wrong, Rich history of small cities. She brings up Isle of Palms, which was the Bolo trip. Then she says that's 6 miles away from where she grew up. And oddly, Bolo will come up again at the end of the episode. Child, that was like 2 seasons ago. So they get to the market, they pick out the food. It's no big deal. I'm not going to get into everything. Monyetta stops to call Kandi and see how things are going. Kandi says that they've been waiting for hours. Marlo starts talking about Kandi being worldwide and that she blends in and that she's just not tall enough to stand out. And Monyetta is saying something about them wanting the VIP treatment for them. And I was kind of like, VIP treatment? I mean, it's a hospital. But, you know, your girl, I watched Kandi speak on it. So basically what she was saying in her speak on it is they had went to a public hospital, which is where we were waiting. They finally got in contact with somebody. I can't remember who she said. And they went to a private hospital, which it seems like it went much better and much smoother. But they did end up waiting a good amount of time in total. So the ladies are about to eat and the waiter comes over and he's, you know, he's talking. He's very, you know, zoo, zoo, zoo and za, za, za. Marlo's looking at him with hearts in her eyes. She had the googly eyes for that voice, child, as they order some green wine. They were thinking the wine was green and I was thinking the wine was green, but the wine is not green in color. I think it's from Isle Verde, which is like the green island or something like that. And Marlo starts talking to that Scott Lee and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh no, Marlo, we see what your type is for real. Because like I said, she was... So she's talking to the ladies and she shows them pictures of them on their first date. And then here comes messy Sheree, like, Kenya called it a Tinder date. So, you know, they got to show it to us in a flashback. And Monyetta's like, well, maybe, you know, she feels like it's too early for you to be bringing him around everybody. But everybody's different, baby. Why does she say that? Because the ladies, they ain't like it. But oddly enough, Marlo was pretty cool about it. Like, nah, baby, he ain't no Tinder date. So then again, Sheree's like, you know, she knows Roy. And Monyetta was like, yeah, it feels like you were kind of trying to steal Kenya's shine with that one. Marlo insists that she was genuinely surprised, and Monyetta's like, yeah, but you know, you didn't have to take it to the DMs. Now, you can imagine every time Monyetta says how she feels, they have a problem. Even with Kandi and Kenya not around, they always attributed it like, oh, you know, she got her head up in Kandi and Kenya's ass. Like, if she's their friends and they have similar thoughts and certain things, as friends sometimes do. Child, anyway, so I already said how I felt about all of this before. Martell calls Sheree in their made-for-TV situationship. He says something about this being the longest time that they've gone without sex. And I was like, really, Martell? Even though y'all live in 2 different states? Okay. Child, my neighbors. So, in these doggone confessionals, Sonia says that she likes Martell for Sheree. Courtney says she's for it. Any man with a pulse and no ankle bracelet is an upgrade, Marlo says. So now somehow we get away from Martell. He's off the phone and Sheree brings up that Kandi said and scene. Told you it was going to come up again, even though Sheree wasn't there when she said it. She was outside checking on Drew. So Drew says that she wants friends that care about her, and Sheree interrupts her and is like, we talking about Kandi right now. Drew's like, yeah, but like you, she may have misinterpreted what she meant, felt. So in the confessional, Sheree is getting on Kandi for not checking on Drew. Sonia says that, you know, Drew may be afraid to talk to Kandi because Kandi is a Teflon Dawn, baby. Marlo says, it couldn't be her, child. I said, it's an agenda. But then Marlo says to the group that Kandi probably didn't receive it at the time. Then Sheree brings up Drew and Marlo's issue. Like, I mean, I guess in her head, she's trying to resolve all these things. But to me, it just honestly looks like mess. And Drew's like, there was no bad interaction until the city winery. So Marlo apologizes and Drew says she needs more consistency. Which we know is true about Marlo. And I said, baby, not Sheree being the messy one and Marlo being on her best behavior. So we flash to Kenya and hallelujah, hallelujah. She says she has no broken bones and she is happy to be walking. They're headed back to the hotel and Kandi is just glad that the whole experience is over. So the ladies finally had to do some pottery painting, and when they get there, they have a choice of either a heart or a star. And as they get started, it's real quiet. So Marlo in her confessional says whenever Kenya and Kandi aren't there, they all get along. The energy is different. And I'm like, it's not that she's necessarily wrong, but why are we saying this like Kandi and Kenya are the problem? So then Monyetta starts to say to Sonya, like, and I didn't like how you looked at me. And Sonya's like, well, I bet. And they start to go back and forth, and then they end with end scene. It was funny. The girls all laughed. They lightened the mood, but you know, based on what happened earlier, Drew, she ain't like that. So they're showing the finished product, and Sheree's like, I try to do the She by Sheree, like, you know, the She by Sheree symbol logo, but it didn't happen. I said, the irony. Drew says it'll end up for sale online for $150. Drew's a mess sometimes. So back at the hotel, the ladies are catching up with their loved ones, and they're getting ready for Sheree's sleepover. Child, your girl just loves a sleepover. I haven't had one in a while. Like I said, the components of all the things I like. Sleepovers, food, okay. So everyone comes and they're, you know, dressed in their cute little pajama outfits except for Monyetta and Kandi. And Sheree says that Kandi looks like she came from Set It Off. And I'm assuming it was for the outfit because Kandi had them straight backs from the time she got there. So the food arrives and everybody's there except for Kenya. You know, she's getting a little rest. And Sonya asked if it was crazy at the hospital. And Candy's like, child was like the Walking Dead, but she's happy. She said in her confessional to get a minute to hang out with the ladies before she leaves. Then Drew's like, well, since you're leaving, and she brings up the whole and scene. And Drew says it was a real moment. And Kandi was like, it was not that serious of an argument. Courtney interjects, it was fun shade. And so Drew's like, you know, I was being vulnerable. Kandi says that ain't the first time she gonna go back and forth with these ladies. So Drew says, did it occur to you that I was dealing with something? And Kandi, she apologizes. For me, honestly, I was like 50-50 with this one. I didn't think it was that serious, but I get Drew's point of view. Kinda. So Sheree is talking to Sonya about, you know, what's going on, and she brings up the Mommy Nation brunch. And so she starts talking about, you know, things that are going on between her and her sister and how the family dynamic is changing. And she starts crying, and child, thankfully nobody laughed at her, so we didn't have to have another moment. So then Kandi asked Drew about Drop It with Drew, and she's like, oh, it's going so well. And Marlo's like, listen, baby, I'll get a membership to support, but you know your girl does not like to work out. Speaking of support, Sheree said she didn't see any of their names as customers for She by Sheree. Monyetta says, and she ain't see Sheree buy no books, but she got her. And Marlo's like, I ain't seen no names for late archive, child, but they all get their phones out and start trying to order something. So hush this lady up, child. Sonya says when it first came out that they were hyped to do it and they intended to support her. They went to the site and the site wasn't working. Child, everybody knows that. So they kept it moving. And that's the realest ish that we done heard Sonya say whole time she been on the show. Here go Marlo. They said it was overpriced and it felt like it was coming from Alibaba. Marlo was a mess. Marlo was definitely kind of back to old Marlo this episode, and she wasn't taking things too seriously. She wasn't fussing, fighting, arguing. She wasn't hitting below the belt. She was just giving us a little levity, and I appreciated it. So Sonya, you know, is addressing the whole She by Sheree kerfuffle further in the confessional, and she says that they had a group text going and everything that, you know, basically it just wasn't ready. Like, you want us to buy some shit, have your shit be ready. So finally, they're wrapping up. The girls start dancing and having fun and twerking, and some of them are dancing on each other. Production wraps at 11:47 p.m. And from what we're told, Monyetta and Marlo were recording on their phone, as I guess they do sometimes when the camera goes off to just get some additional footage. I didn't understand it, but apparently that's what they do. Kandi addressed that in her speak on it. 1 hour later, we see the ladies talking, and Drew in her confessional says that they bought up the bolo night. She hears, Drew made out with LaToya. Drew denies it as usual, and Kandi says, yeah, you did. Again, as usual. Drew said that LaToya had said that Kandi had told her to say it. Now, does that make any sense to y'all? Kandi says, you're not going to make me unsee what I saw. She wants to agree to just disagree because, child, you know Kandi does not like to be called a liar. They go back and forth. Kandi heads for her room. Producers are asking Marlo if she saw Drew kiss LaToya, and she's like, 80%. 80%. So they're like, what's the other 20? And she's like, child, I don't know. Drew has me confused. I don't know the way she lies or acts like she has her believing Drew. I told you Marlo was funny this episode. So producers ask Drew, has she ever kissed a woman? And then we get a flash forward, and that's where we end. Child, next episode, they're not about to let none of this go. So late, I don't really have anything else to say about the episode. I am just trying to hang in there, baby. Please leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, or just let me know that you stopped by. Reunion seating and looks are up on my community tab. Sonya is pregnant. Congratulations. I didn't put any pictures up of that, but she looks. Now, just thinking ahead, because your girl's been struggling to get these recaps out. I think when we finally get to the very end, when we get to the reunion, whether it's 2 parts, 3 parts, I think I'm just going to do one big live at the end. So just a thought. Anywho, join me back here for the next one. Until then, peace.